Oh, shame about that. I've no doubt we'll hear from Graham Taylor later on in the moment. But a man I can say is here, because I can see him, is Ron Atkinson. Ron, we couldn't hear from Graham Taylor. No doubt we'll hear from him in a minute. But your reaction to that result?
Well, I think that's the best bit of news English football's had for ages. I mean, that gives us a chance now to qualify. All right, Poland have still got games in hand, but I think their programme will be too hard. And I would say if we can get a draw in Rotterdam, when is it, October, I could see us going through now.
Well, it's funny how things can change in a week, isn't it? Ron, more from you in a minute, but now we can hear from the England manager, Graham Taylor. Coming up right now.
Right. OK, anytime you're ready.
Well, Graham, your reaction to the goalless draw?
Well, I've always felt, Jim, it's out of my control. Whatever it was going to be, so it's a goalless draw. Congratulations to Norway. I mean, they've taken 3 points now out of Holland and 3 points out of us, so they're going to be very pleased. But it's still all up for grabs, isn't it?
Any final thoughts on this game here, moments before the team go out?
No, I mean, it's the start of a tournament. It's the start, really, of us getting back onto the pitch as well, which we want to do, although the grass is very long. But we're a little bit used to that, and we're looking forward to it.
Well, the relief on that man's face was fairly obvious to everybody. That's it for now. We're going off for a short break, but sit back. USA versus England kicks off in a couple of moments. Welcome back. In a couple of moments, we'll be live at the Foxborough Stadium in Boston. Before that, a brief word from our guest expert, Ron Atkinson. What are you looking for from the England team tonight, Ron?
As I say, a lot more of a positive, Sean. There's no real pressure on us now. It's a game where I think they can afford to try and go out and play what we would consider to be a better style of football. Certainly in Norway, we didn't do ourselves justice in the way we played. You know, no pressure on us now. Let's go out and try and play and enjoy it and play with a bit of freedom.
I think it's fair to say, though, that before tonight's result from Rotterdam, and certainly after last week's result in Norway, a lot of people were looking for a disaster tonight to see the end of the England manager, cruel though it may be. Now, that presumably is no longer the case.
I don't think it was beforehand, because I think really that nobody pays too much attention to this result. I mean, if America beat us, so what? We're only interested now in beating Poland, Holland and San Marino. If we can't beat San Marino, we should pack the thing up, incidentally.
But a beating tonight would affect morale, surely.
Not really, because what will happen? The players don't want to be out there. And I suppose after Norway last week, the manager doesn't really want to be out there. He's making the right noise. It's a committed tour. They have to go on now. But I should think, after the Norway result, they were probably thinking, I wish we'd all packed up, gone off to a beach somewhere, come back fresh in September and got on with the second part of the World Cup and tried to qualify for it.
OK, Ron, more from you in a couple of moments, but I believe we can now cross to the Foxborough Stadium in Boston and join our man at pitchside, Jim Rosenthal. Jim, at last you're there, mate. What is the mood within the England camp? Hello, Jim.
Hello, Matthew. Thank you very much, and welcome to the Foxborough Stadium. I just lost you at the moment there. We're surrounded by all sorts of England fans up here. And, well, perhaps you might just hear one or two of the things that they feel about the present England manager. We've got the only dry spot in the stadium. Let me just show you up here the sort of stuff that's been coming down for the last half an hour or so. It really has been an unbelievable thunderstorm we've had here in the stadium. The weather forecasters have all made fools of themselves, unfortunately. Bit of lightning around as well. At one stage that was going to delay the kickoff, but I'm glad to say the kickoff will take place on time. I've been down there on the pitch, and I tell you what, if you've kept either of your lawns that long, you'd be in for a terrible time from your respective loved ones, because it really is dreadful. It's just about ankle height, the grass down there. They have trimmed it this morning, but it's going to be very, very heavy indeed. It's not going to make for a good passing game. That's it for the moment. I know you'll rejoin us in time for the action from me and all my friends here.
OK, Jim, thanks very much. Ron, he's talking there about bad weather and a lumpy pitch, and I happen to know it's a very narrow pitch as well. I mean, the portents for a good game, possibly not too good.
Well, no, but you never know. I mean, they should really be capable of putting on a performance out there, but no matter how long the grass is. I mean, they just put the studs up a little bit high, don't they? What is interesting is how well the Americans are preparing for the World Cup. I mean, those are the sort of things now that have got to be ironed out in time for next year's.
Well, we shall see. It all will be revealed, Ron, in a couple of moments, because the kick-off is right after this break. Welcome back. As you can see, the teams are on the pitch at the Foxborough Stadium in Boston. Let's cross straight away to our commentary team of Rodney Marsh and Alan Parry.
Well, good evening, everyone, for what's suddenly become a very critical match for English football and especially for Graham Taylor. And let's begin by having a look at the lineup that the England manager has selected tonight. 6 changes, 1 positional from the team beaten in Norway, and the new captain, of course, in Paul Ince. Des Walker and David Platt weren't considered after playing for their Italian clubs at the weekend. Platt, in fact, is injured, and Tony Adams and Paul Gascoigne aren't in the squad for this tournament. Teddy Sheringham is among the 11 named substitutes, any 4 of whom can be used, including a goalkeeper. Well, Carlton Palmer moves from midfield back into defence, and Nigel Clough gets the Gaza role between midfield and the strikers, one of whom is John Barnes, one of only 2 England survivors from the last team which played against the United States 8 years ago. The other one is Chris Woods, who in fact made his international debut in that game in Los Angeles, which England won by 5 goals to 0. And tonight, Woods wins his 43rd cap in England's goal. The American team shows 3 changes from that beaten by Brazil on Sunday, and they're strengthened by the return of 3 of their squad who play their football in Europe. Tab Ramos of Real Betis in Spain, and 2 from the German Bundesliga. Tom Dooley, and yes, that really is his name, he plays for Kaiserslautern, and Eric Winolda of Saarbrücken. The lineup includes 3 players familiar to English fans: goalkeeper Tony Meola, and of course John Harkes and Roy Wegley.
What so calmly we read at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket red glare above bursting in air came through the night, and our flag was still there. Oh, sing us that star-spangled banner that waved for the land of
Spirited rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner, and you can imagine what this match means to those United States players. As far as their formation is concerned tonight, they'll be playing with a sweeper, Des Armstrong, and basically they have 1 man up front, Winolda, although Wegley has been given licence to roam free, and on his day, as we all know, Wegley on form can be a very effective player indeed. The Foxborough Stadium here on this Rather strange night for Chris Woods and the England players. It's in New England and there's a bit of old English weather when they were all expecting 80-degree temperatures. Roy Wegley, born in South Africa, brought up and educated in the United States. And of course, if things had turned out differently, he could well have been lining up in an England jersey tonight. He chose to represent the country of his wife's birth, his wife Marie, who he met when he was at college in the States. And this is a very big night indeed for Roy Wegley. 7 years in English football now. Chelsea, Luton, Queen's Park Rangers, Blackburn, and of course a move towards the end of the season just gone to Coventry City. Les Ferdinand wins his 4th cap for England. Just that 1 goal so far on his international debut against San Marino, and being tried out now in this new formation up front for England alongside the most experienced international on the pitch, John Barnes. Graham Taylor, as ever, in the limelight. Been handling the pressure that he's undoubtedly under at the moment very well, has been fairly relaxed and helpful to the media out here. And it doesn't look really like a man who has been vilified, to use his own word, in the national press back home. And I think the result today of the Norway-Holland game proves for me that 1 or 2 of the obituaries written about England in general, and Graham Taylor in particular, were very premature. And 1 or 2 of the journalists who went out on a limb and decided that we weren't going to qualify for the World Cup and that Graham Taylor shouldn't be in the job any longer might face an embarrassing situation later this season if Taylor and England do make it through to the United States in 12 months' time. Whatever you say, that defeat in Norway was only the 4th in his 32 matches in charge. Well, it's the United States of America all in white tonight who will get the game underway here in the Foxborough Stadium. Attacking from left to right. Referee, incidentally, is from Austria, Alfred Weiser. And England win the ball back with Clough. And now Ferdinand. And now Barnes. Little slip there, and in fact it wouldn't have mattered anyway as Lee Sharp fell because the linesman had signalled offside. Alongside me here tonight in this decidedly un-American-like weather, a man who's been over here for 17 years now in the rather warmer state of Florida. Chief Executive of Tampa Bay Rowdies and of course a former England star, Rodney Marsh.
I tend to agree with Ron Atkinson, Alan, with regards to the England game at the moment, because what's happened in the last couple of weeks has really put a lot of pressure on the England manager, and we'll have to wait and see how they handle it tonight.
As you heard Jim Rosenthal mention, the England players not happy about the length of the grass on the pitch here. And of course with all the heavy rain we had in that hour before the kick-off, it's going to be very, very greasy on top as the ball comes into the near post, and a chance for England straight away, and that might well have provided a goal for Nigel Clough, breaking from that position in midfield that he's occupying tonight, the Gaza roll they're calling it, and a marvellous opportunity there, Rodney, for England to take
the ball goes out wide. It's a good early cross, goes to the far post and slices it wide.
It's a lovely ball played in. And that really was an opportunity for the new Liverpool player. Palmer with the clearance at the other end. Back in his defensive role, which he's played, of course, many times for England. And England get the ball here, but only as far as Clavijo. He's given it away to Lee Sharp, Manchester United winger, restored to the position that he knows best tonight, and going through 3 challenges and winning the throw for England, which Tony Dorigo will take. And Clough in possession, but he dwelt a little bit too long in possession, and England were rather fortunate to win that back. Dorigo, a long ball aimed at Ferdinand, and it took an unpleasant bounce right in front of Tony Meola, but he dealt with it well and deals it forward to Doyle, John Doyle. Played in the 90 World Cup for the United States, an experienced side this, and remember they did have the ultimate experience of those 3 matches in Italy. They lost them all, but they were very pleased with the progress they've made, and progress is something that the United States certainly have made in the last 15 years or so at international level. The ball given away clumsily there to Ramos, and the little player who plays his football in Spain for Real Betis has the first shooting opportunity there for the United States. Tab Ramos, born in Uruguay, in fact, where his father himself was a professional footballer. Nice flick on there from Ferdinand. Dixon getting forward now for England. Ferdinand in the box, and Sharp beyond him. It's a terrific run. And the Arsenal player wins the first corner of the game.
It's a good start for England with players getting forward like Dixon. That's what's needed for tonight's game.
Sharp plays a useful looking ball in, and cleared by Armstrong, the sweeper in this American side. But England have it back again now. Coming forward is Pallister. The header on by Ferdinand, and Barnes tries to keep it in play, but Clavijo takes it away from him. And they look a little edgy at the moment, these United States players, as Dorigo curls a dangerous ball in, and Mueller just beaten to it by Ferdinand. It was a good effort by the Queen's Park Rangers player. Bravely went in there as the goalkeeper came out to meet him.
This is the sort of start that England really needed, Alan, with players getting forward of all sorts, but Pallister included, Dixon, and a great cross in there, and very unfortunate for Ferdinand.
Well, certainly England have had two good goal-scoring opportunities here in the opening 5 minutes. Ramos, good little player in midfield for the United States, gets them moving forward. Harks falling over. Chris Woods has already sliced one of these clearances out of play. He got a rather better contact that time. And the big blonde defender, Doyle, who's very good in the air, wins it back for the United States. But England on the defensive for the moment. And that's a dangerous looking ball into the box, and Palmer went in with a fine challenge. Might just have made all the difference really there. Certainly Wijnaldum was in a good position to capitalise if there'd been any mistake, as Agus got forward on the left-hand side well.
Yes, again, as Agus played a nice ball in, and Woods does well to hold it. In talking to some of the American players earlier this week, Alan, they are sick and tired of the attitude by the English of America's a disgrace and not fit to host the World Cup. And a lot of the pundits back in England, Dennis Law included, who have said that United States has no ability to host the World Cup. The players are really feel bad about that being maligned, and nothing would do them greater pleasure than to win tonight.
He sees the ball bounce too high for him. Cleared then by Pallister. And now Dixon. Barnes the target, but Doyle wins it again. Armstrong, the sweeper. Once played for a World Select 11, the big number 15, in a big charity match. Highly rated player here, although the number one choice sweeper Balboa out injured at the moment. England have the free kick. And the first little confrontation there involving the competitive Leeds midfielder Batty and Harks. A little bit of a Yorkshire duel. Dixon slides it forward and gets it back again, and now finds Barnes. On it goes again. Oh, that's an excellent run. And Batty shows his aggression once again to win it back, and finds Ferdinand. Sharp is in the middle, and Mueller did well then. Wegley. Dooley knocking it back to him. Good challenge then by Ince, the England captain. Barnes in possession. Dixon leaves it to Batty. Looking for Barnes. It wasn't a good ball. Doyle slips but still gets it clear. Harks in possession. Good strong run and finds Wegley. Ramos takes over. Harks lay off, back to Doyle. Clavijo. Dooley making a good run forward. And he's now picked up by Harks and slipped at the vital moment. But as Woods hesitated, There's real danger here with Dooley in a good position in particular, and the ball chipped in when really I would have expected Wijnaldum might have done better in that opening.
What a great start to the game. The Americans don't look overawed by any imagination. Could have been offside there. And Chris Woods comes in and goes back into his goal. And as he chips it to the far post, there's a player unmarked on the far post. He could have got it to, but probably made the wrong decision there.
Well, for one horrible moment there, Dixon was going to reach his hand up and make contact with the ball as Wijnaldum chipped it in. Ferdinand has won 2 terrific headers already. And this one finds Sharp. It was tackled by Clavijo. England get the throw. And the referee has given a free kick there for a foul on Dooley by Sharp. This is the 6th time, incidentally, these two countries have met. We all know, I'm sure, about the famous meeting in Belo Horizonte in Brazil in the 1950 World Cup when the United States caused one of the greatest upsets in the history of the game, beating England 1-0. But in the 4 matches since then, England have won, and won very, very comfortably. 10-0, 8-1, 6-3 and 5-0. As I was saying before, the United States, as a football nation, have made a lot of progress, even since that last meeting 8 years ago.
And having said that, Alan, if England lose tonight, they'll be talking about this game for the next 40 years as well.
I'm sure you're right. Batty plays a good ball forward, and Dixon is onside here and stabs it into the middle, looking for Clough, who come forward again. The United States survive, and then a free kick goes against Gary Pallister. Graham Taylor quite happy, I think, with the way the side have settled down here. Coming up to 10 minutes gone, it's still the United States 0, England 0. Garrigo in possession for England. Palmer. Barnes. Given away by Ince. And Wijnaldum brushed aside by the England captain, who did well to atone for his own mistake then. And here he is again. Armstrong under pressure straight away from Ferdinand, did well. And Doyle gets out of danger, finding a goose on that left-hand side. Headed away by Palmer. Offside. Gregory offside. No question about it. Bora Milutinovic, the 48-year-old Yugoslav, who was appointed as coach to the United States team a couple of years ago.
I had the opportunity to speak to Bora earlier in the week, and he said that the American players don't fear England, but they certainly do respect them.
There's Doyle bringing the ball away. England pressurising the American players whenever they're in possession. Clough tries the shot. It was an ambitious effort, but didn't really catch it properly. Yet to score on his 11 previous appearances for England.
If there's one weakness in the American game, Alan, it's that they give the ball away far too easily at the back when they're pressured, and you saw a good example of it right there.
Harks knocking the ball long for Wijnaldum or Wegerle, both forward, and it's Wijnaldum who keeps it in play. Agus finding Ramos. Bit strong that one for Clavijo. England's throw. Ferdinand dispossessed by Doyle, who really went in strongly then on Clough, and too strongly for the referee's liking. England's free kick. Lifts the free kick in, looking again for the power of Ferdinand in the air. He's won every header against Big John Doyle so far. A goose with a long ball forward, and that'll be safely guarded back by Pallister to Chris Woods. Dixon finding a lot of room and the opportunity to get forward on England's right. On the far side, looking for a run, and that's the corner. As Ince goes forward. 13 minutes gone here in Boston, 0-0. Tony Meola faces a real problem now, though. England take the corner short, and they didn't really make the best of that possibility. Great long ball then by Harks. It's a little bit too deep for Ramos.
The USA have lost their most important player at the back in Marcelo Balboa. His position is being taken tonight by Doyle, and it looks like Doyle's going to have the job of picking up Ferdinand, as you see here.
And certainly Ferdinand has got the beating of Doyle whenever the ball's above the ground. This is Dooley. Clavijo. Looking for the run from Winalda. Palmer under no pressure, finds Dorigo. And on it goes to Ferdinand, who came off his defender well then to find the room. Clough helps it on to Batty. Dixon's out there again in an attacking role on the right. Run back by Agus. And Winalda was pushed then as he brought the ball under control. United States take the free kick quickly. Dooley in possession for them.
All right, hey. Let him move. Let's move him. Right.
Armstrong.
Right. He's not going to stay in front of the sign.
Clavijo. And back it goes to Doyle. Harks making those intelligent runs for which he's become rightly renowned in the English Premier League. The best export, certainly, the United States have ever produced in a football sense. Quarter of an hour gone. It's 0-0 here in Boston in England's first game of the US 93 Cup tournament. Germany and Brazil still to come, remember, for England after tonight's game. You can see all their matches live on ITV. Batty wins possession for England. Sharp. Palmer took a risk then, but got away with it. Those long legs of his, extricating himself from danger and finding Sharp. On it goes to Ferdinand, and that's a lovely little flick header on. And the curl shot was a terrific effort from John Barnes, and I think it's Insline injured. Ferdinand, in fact, as he went up to win that high ball, which brought about the opportunity there for Barnes. He obviously just caught his ankle and landed awkwardly on it. Opportunity there, Rodney, for John Barnes.
Yes, we talked earlier about Doyle marking Ferdinand, and Ferdinand really has given him all sorts of problems at the moment. Graham Taylor, when he announced his team, said that he was going to play Barnes up front with Ferdinand, and so far that's exactly what's happened. John Barnes is playing like an out-and-out striker alongside Ferdinand, with Clough coming in from deep. And here you see the flick on. A good ball in from Palmer, flick on, controls it, brings it back inside. This is a typical John Barnes effort, isn't it, for Liverpool, where he curls it to the far post. Very, very unlucky. Great effort by Barnes.
John Barnes winning his 72nd cap for England tonight. Ferdinand, a novice by comparison. In fact, if you take out Chris Woods and John Barnes, it's a relatively inexperienced England side. There's not that many caps between them. It's probably the least experienced team, in fact, that Graham Taylor has selected in terms of caps.
That's quite right. But what's interesting is they're playing with a lot of confidence tonight, with players like Dorigo on the ball and Palmer on the ball, beating players out the back. And that's the sort of thing we haven't seen from the England team for quite some time.
Certainly a lot of England support here, and I'm sure you can hear them because they're directly in front of our position here in the Foxborough Stadium. Batty hustled off the ball unusually, and Winalda plays a good ball forward to Wegerle. And unusually for him, he rather sloppily gives possession away. Barnes, beautiful ball. Clough out to Dixon. On it goes to Ince. On again to Clough. And England get a corner out of a really sweet move.
Well, after the last 10 days, Alan, I think that England have come to this game and they've come under a lot of pressure, in my opinion. And and they've really come to play, and it's great to see players getting forward in numbers like they're doing, and right now the naivety of the American team, they've only sent one player out on the corner kick.
Well, that's a rather bizarre moment.
Perhaps that's why they only sent one player out there.
Nigel Clough slipping over as he took the corner and ended up in the undignified position on his backside, and the ball out of play for a goal kick. Here's Armstrong. Lapper helping it out to a Goose, and the young centre-back, he's just 22, Mike Lapper, gets it back again. Armstrong to the most experienced man in the side, wearing 21 and playing at right back, Clavijo. This is Doyle. Armstrong. Poor ball, Batty wins it back with ease. Now Clough. Barnes. Dorigo. England using both their fullbacks to good effect so far. That goes in towards Ferdinand, but a little bit too deep. Barnes. Dorigo. Sharp had time to turn and face his defender and gets round him beautifully. Nudged aside, I thought, by Armstrong. That looked as though England should have had a free kick out of that challenge. Ramos wins it back off Ince. Batty arrives to give him another problem, and England have it again. Dixon. That's a poor ball by the Arsenal right back, although he's certainly made a good start to this game, seen a lot of the ball as well.
Yes, it's great to see both fullbacks getting forward, Alan, as we talked about. But there again, you saw the Americans giving the ball away in a critical area, and you cannot do that at this level. And they expect to get away with it for a long period of time.
Now they're on Carlton Palmer. Dorigo. Ferdinand. Armstrong takes it off him though. Agus. Good play by Wegerle. Ronaldo with a nice layoff as well to the other English League player, Parks. That's not a bad ball. Ronaldo prepared to chase, but Woods in command. Dixon again. Clough waiting for someone to move into a good position for him, lays it off short and gets it back again from Dixon. Barnes lay off this time to the captain Ince. That's not a bad effort. Didn't really carry enough sting to bother Miola, but on this wet surface, certainly worth a try, Rod.
Yeah, it's nice to see the England players playing and passing the ball to each other, and we haven't seen that, Alan, for quite some time, as we talked about earlier. I'd like to see Barnes getting really alongside Ferdinand up front. He started to drop a little bit deeper again.
Now here goes Ferdinand. He was being hauled back, but still gets in between the two defenders. It was a brilliant run, and in the end, he doesn't even get the satisfaction of a corner, and he points to exactly what was happening there. And what was happening was that Doyle was dragging him back from the moment he wriggled away from him here. You could see it there quite clearly, and he did really well, Ferdinand, to make anything of that situation. And arguably here, let's have another look, arguably should have had a corner. But the USA move forward themselves with Dooley. Now Clavijo. Ramos. Tackle there by Sharp. And it's gone for a corner, I think. The corner flag obscured from our view in that corner of the field. The New England Patriots home ground this. They haven't had a very good season.
If there's one area that the US team is going to score a goal in, I think, tonight, it's going to be on double situations, because they do pile a lot of players into the box, and they're not afraid to go for the headers. And we'll see John Doyle come up here and attack the ball.
And it's their first corner. And it's not a bad one. Woods stretches for it and was fouled. Did well, actually, there, Chris Woods. And he obviously aware of the fact that the USA were going to pile so many players forward then.
Yeah,
Very decisive.
Here we see it in swinging corner, and they all pile into the near post, and he deals with it rather comfortably.
Ferdinand yet again winning it. Barnes took a little nudge in the back as he tried to control that. Armstrong in possession. Wijnaldum. Good run forward by Wegley. We'll never find him with a ball as ambitious as that. We wouldn't have found Carl Lewis, never mind. I know Ron Atkinson back in the studio, watching this one with interest. What do you make of it so far, Ron?
Yeah, we're playing okay. It's been a decent start. I would like to see, I mean, most of our attacks have come down the flanks. 2 or 3 crosses, a couple from Dorigo, one from Ferdinand from the right-hand side. I'd just like to see us, Alan, try and open them up with a little defence-splitting pass. Somebody like Clough or Barnes getting on the ball and trying to thread a ball through past their striker, or even the midfield players trying to feed balls in to the front players and making 1-2s. I mean, at the moment, we're a little bit predictable. We pass it around, as Rodney said. We're passing it about okay, but we're not really penetrating with our passing.
Thanks, Ron.
I think what's interesting... Excuse me, Alan. I think what's interesting about the comment by Ron is that the US team are playing with an out-and-out sweeper in Armstrong. He's playing 10 yards behind the markers, and I think it's going to be quite difficult. There you see exactly what we're talking about, where they all pull up to the halfway line and catch him offside. But the thing is, with Armstrong playing so deep, it could be quite difficult to play those nice little balls in there that Ron's talking about.
Clavijo knocks it long for Wegley, and Palmer, in his attempts to play it away, only plays it straight to him. It's a great ball across. Real danger. It's still in play, in fact. Wegley again. This is the defender, Lapper. Well, England were rocking for a moment there, Rodney.
Yeah, we seem to stop playing for a split second, and Wegley gets in a brilliant cross from wide on the right. Thought he was going to let it go for a corner kick, but he whips in a brilliant cross and puts us under all sorts of pressure. Did well to get it away.
Well, a very, very talented player. He might have frustrated 1 or 2 managers down the years with his lack of consistency.
Including me, Alan, when I was at Tampa Bay Rowdies.
But I don't think you or anyone else has ever doubted his ability. England get the free kick. 20 minutes remaining of the first half. 0-0. Batty. To his Leeds teammate Dorigo. Ince tries to find Ferdinand and wins it back again and gives it to Sharp. Ince is there again. Ferdinand's gone down, injured once more. Nice football meantime by England, but the final ball on what's quite a narrow pitch, by the way, just carried across the touchline. Throw in to the United States, but before that, I think the England players are trying to attract the referee's attention to the injured Ferdinand, who's back on his feet now. Clavijo's clearance. Palmer wins it back for England. Barnes going in with Doyle. Comes to Ince, and now Clough. This is Batty. Ince again. Pallister. Offside, I'm afraid. Looked like a well-angled ball, but Sharp on this side. Caught offside.
Ferdinand got that knock earlier in the game, and I think that he's suffering a little bit at the moment. He seems to be trying to run it off, but that's twice he's gone down with it, and you might wonder if he might get pulled off.
Meantime, Pallister battling for possession there with Wegley and losing out, and it comes to Wijnaldum. And still problems for England, and Dorigo scrapes it away for a corner, and they had an extra man there as well, the United States, who was unmarked inside the penalty area, Ramos. England were really stretched.
The new partnership of Palmer and Pallister doesn't seem to be, the understanding doesn't seem to be there quite yet, does it?
Certainly wasn't then. The ball played in again towards the big defender, Doyle, who's very dangerous in the air, but England did enough to make sure the ball never reached him. Still, the United States will have been buoyed by this moment, Rodney.
Yeah, they see the ball played into Wijnaldum, and they seem to get caught between who's going to pick him up, and he could have passed it on again, but he shot, and we scrambled it away at the last minute, but again, they looked in all sorts of trouble there, Pallister and Palmer.
Important interception there by Tony Dorigo. It's quite a strong win against England in this first half. Wood's goal kick just holding up there before it reached the halfway line. Dixon. Batty. Barnes beaten to it by Agus. Regularly up front, controlled it beautifully, but Batty read the danger. Now Ramos. This is Dooley. Good challenge by Clough. And then Dooley does well to win it back off Barnes. It's a strong run by the American midfielder. Ramos to Agus. Legley's pulled wide on the left-hand side. Ronaldo is in the middle. Clavijo. It's a dangerous cross for England, this. And Harks, unlucky from his point of view, that when he made the shot, he was at the wrong angle and, in fact, caught an injury as he did so. Good blocking by the England defender.
At the moment, Alan, it looks like a little bit of panic set into the England defenders. The cross that just came in was puts them under all sorts of pressure again. And to give away a ball like that in the last third of the field, you know, they look like they're panicking a little bit.
John Harks down injured. He's due to go in for a hernia operation when this tournament is over. And we can see again this little bit of a moment of panic in the England goalmouth. That's how Harks got his injury. Long season, of course, for Sheffield Wednesday. They played over 50 games and he figured in most of them.
I don't know if you agree, Alan, but in looking at the US team, they don't seem to be overawed at all by the English team at the moment.
Ian Wright on the England bench. Maybe coming on for Ferdinand. Harks is okay to continue. It'd be a shame for Ferdinand if he does have to go off, because he'd started this game very promisingly indeed.
Yes, he did.
0-0, 15 minutes of the first half remaining. Ferdinand brushed aside. Ince in possession for England. Sharp making a good run. Armstrong read it, but Sharp's got in behind him. It's an excellent run by the Manchester United player. And then in the end, well, he doesn't need telling. He didn't release the ball or make up his mind to shoot quickly enough. Rigo couldn't keep that in.
Well, that was a great ball in. Sharp goes down the left wing with pace, outruns the boy, gets into a position, and he really won't be happy with this performance there. I don't know what he was thinking of there, but he didn't pass it, he didn't shoot.
Palmer gets it clear. Ferdinand was surely being held by Lapper, and Clavijo had a strong word to say to the referee about the award of the free kick, and he gets told off as well. Didn't think there was much doubt about it myself, and nor did all the England fans in front of me here. Obviously England trying to make that substitution, and it is going to be Ferdinand coming off, and Ian Wright will replace him as Barnes goes forward for England. Well, the cross was into no man's land as far as England were concerned, straight to Tony Meola. Armstrong. Ronaldo's header. Wegerle taken away from him by Dixon. Pallister took a risk there but got away with it with a nice touch of skill. Clough onto Sharp. Dorigo making a great overlap on the left. And again the cross was inviting, but England just didn't get anybody forward into the box.
Unfortunately, the last two times down, John Barnes the first time put a great cross in, and Les Ferdinand is over on the halfway line trying to come off, and there's nobody in the middle for the header.
Yes, England unable to make this substitution quickly enough, and virtually carrying a passenger at the moment. Ferdinand limping. Here's Clough. Barnes layoff to Batty. He thought about playing that to Ferdinand and then realised that he didn't really want it. Dixon finds Barnes. He returns the ball to him. Goes in long towards Sharp. He's all on his own in the middle, though. Took it beautifully, however, ahead of Armstrong. And lays it on here for Barnes, who was a bit slow to react. And Sharp's in again quickly to win it back. Then Barnes again. Now Clough. Barnes once more. Good ball that time. Batty. This is Clough. Sharp. Lovely little ball back towards Nigel Clough, but it was well read there by Dooley. And the United States breathe again. Ramos. Good little player, this boy. Really is skillful. Carries the ball forward. Was fouled, but the referee has said play on. Ronaldo in possession. Wegley to his left. Excellent defending then by Pallister. And remarkably, England still haven't managed to get Ian right on. And Les Ferdinand off. Doriga. Batty. Sharp. This is Barnes. No, it's not like him to put the ball away that easily. Now Ronaldo for the United States. Palmer marking him closely. And the leggy Carlton Palmer went bravely through 2 challenges then, and in fact gets a free kick, and that'll enable England to make their substitution. And Les Ferdinand really unhappy having to leave the field when he was really settled into this game, but you can tell how frustrated he is. But this guy will love the opportunity to get into the action again. Ian Wright thought he might have made the starting lineup. There was a few doubts about his fitness. Now he's on, he can prove his fitness.
Well, Ferdinand certainly had a good first 25 minutes, Alan, and I'm sure he'll be sorry to have to go off. Having said that, Ian Wright is probably the #1 goal scorer in club football in Britain at the moment, I would think, and had a great season with Arsenal. Having said that, I think he's a little bit like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Right, and you never know which one's going to show up, and hopefully for England it'll be the right one tonight.
Here goes Wegley. Oh, that's lovely skill. And not a bad ball forward to Dooley. Chris Woods to England's rescue then. Dooley made a terrific break from midfield, and it was the skill of Wegley that set up the opening.
Yeah, Roy Wegley has got this ability that he's got lovely touch on the ball, and he threads a lovely ball through there, and I'm surprised that Dooley pulled out of that one. Chris Woods come out, he should have got his head kicked in.
Here's Batty. Dixon. It's gone out of play, has it? No. Linesman's flag stays down, and Ian Wright gets his first touch, and it's a good ball. Doriga. Wright wants it played in, it goes beyond him to Barnes. Dixon. Batty. Good play on England's right. Armstrong clears it straight against Barnes and was lucky to get a second opportunity to get it away then. Well, certainly the United States have done enough in this opening 36 minutes we've had now to prove that there's danger enough to England when they're on the attack. They're a side who basically play a rather unadventurous style, though. But they have looked dangerous counter-attacking. Armstrong slips, and he's still in trouble as Doriga crosses the ball. And it breaks here to Wright. Well, perhaps he just hadn't been on the field long enough to get into the rhythm of things.
No, he hasn't got into the swing of the game yet, and another example of America giving the ball away or losing possession in critical areas. Another good cross comes in, and Wright hasn't been in long enough to judge the pace of the game, and doesn't quite get it under his ball's under his feet and doesn't get his shot off properly.
I think he would certainly have expected the defender Lapper to get it away there. It's a kind of error he doesn't encounter in the Premier League from defenders week in, week out. Clavijo forward. Nice little turn by Ramos. Oh, nice. The back heeler from Sharp as England get it back, and Barnes was fouled by Doyle. We understand from the England bench that Ferdinand has aggravated an old back injury in that fall that he had earlier on in the game. Meantime, Bruce Wijnaldum, or Eric Wijnaldum I should call him, down injured. just returned himself from his first season in the German Bundesliga, where he plays for Saarbrücken, and was a big success there. Scored 9 goals in his first 10 games. They think a lot of him over here, don't they?
Yes, they do, but also I think this is probably the best team that America can put on the field right now, and with Wijnaldum and Wegley up front, they're probably the 2 players that are going to lead the way from an attacking point of view for America through the World Cup.
There's Barnes. That's not a bad ball, but Ian Wright offside. Agus. Long ball for Wegley, but too deep. Dooley's header finds Wijnaldum offside.
After a very bright start to the game for Cloughie, he seems to have gone missing in the last 10 minutes, and I think, as Ron said, we need him in the game more to be able to knock those little passes through the middle, and he needs to get in the game more.
There's one man who's certainly in the game a lot. Dixon finding Barnes. Ince makes a good run forward, but Barnes has given it away, and England stretched here on the break.
I just want to be ready whenever he does.
Ramos. Wijnaldum. Wegley forward. Ramos in support. Oh, he did well, and it's not a bad-looking cross either in towards Wegley, who might have felt then that he was barged over as the ball came in. What do you make of that, Rodney?
Well, as the cross comes in from the right, a deep cross, Ramos went to the dead ball line, put a long cross into the far post, and I think Wegley can feel a little bit disappointed as the cross comes in. It goes beyond the far post, and Wegley seems to get bumped in the back before he heads the ball.
But England are counter-attacking, as you see that again, and Sharp with, well, it might have been a clever effort, but it was against the wind, and it was plucked contemptuously by Tony Meola. Over 60 caps for the United States, their goalkeeper, the best-known soccer player, as they call them, in the States. Clavijo in possession. Still 0-0. 5 minutes of the first half remaining, and I would think the United States will be well satisfied with what they've achieved so far. They've had chances themselves. They've restricted England to just a handful, and they certainly don't look out of their depth. They'll be appearing in the 5th ever World Cup finals when they play as the host nation next year. Doyle knocking it forward, and a foul there by Carlton Palmer on Wegley gets the United States a free kick. Wegley again. Ronaldo, the player in the box, who just touched it on there. A bounce rather fortunately for England, enabled Dixon to come in and clear it. Batty. Had his legs taken away from him by Agus. England have taken the free kick quickly. This is Sharp. Ian Wright on the far post. And he looks for him, and Wright goes up, and it's just headed away from him. And then the shot by Dixon flies wide. Good move, though, by England.
Well, that's the closest we're coming yet to a goal, and as the ball comes down the left-hand side, Sharp goes inside one player, outside another player, puts a super cross into the far post, eventually comes to the far player on the far side, and that's the closest we've come to a goal yet. That was Dixon. Sharp does well with the cross. What's interesting, though, is for all the attacking play we've seen by both teams with about 3 minutes to go, neither goalkeeper has really had to make a save yet.
It's true. Chris Wood's interception at the feet of Dooley before, apart, yes. Parks. A forward by Lackler. A little layoff by Wegley, was a lovely one. And now England again finding, as the Americans pull players to 2 sides of the field, the gaps start to open up. And there's a chance here for Wegley, and it was whipped off his toe as he was threatening to shoot. But America still looking dangerous. And it goes in deep, and once again England stretch, and Ramos takes it back, and it's a goal!
This crowd has gone absolutely bananas. Can you believe it?
And you have to say, it's been on the cards. Tom Dooley was not hanging his head down then. He got his head in exactly the right place for the lovely little pullback by Ramos. And that's a goal that will go down in American history. What a moment for Tom Dooley, who's never scored before in the international team. That is a goal he will treasure for the rest of his life. And astonishingly here, England are a goal behind. 2 minutes to half-time. The United States 1, England 0. Well, we had said all along that the United States were looking dangerous on the counter-attack, and they underline that then in superb fashion as Wright knocks the ball back across the American goal, and Sharp did well to keep it in play. And in the end, the United States get the throw-in. Well, Graham Taylor can only begin to wonder what fate befalls him if England are to lose here tonight. He's in a no-win situation anyway. If England win the match, everyone will say, well, of course they ought to. If we lose, well, the heavens will open for him. Offside at the moment, Ian Wright.
Alan, I think the next 45 minutes is taking on epic proportions right now. England a goal down. Really, you couldn't say that the Americans didn't deserve it. They've played very well on the counter-attack. They've got Roy Webber's done very, very well up front. And Palmer and Pallister got in all sorts of problems as that cross came in, and quite frankly, Dooley had quite an easy header.
It was a lovely play by little Ramos to set him up, and the Americans are perky now, getting forward again. Good defending by Dixon. Napper, the head out, but he finds two teammates offside.
For all you people at home, go to the fridge, get yourself a beer and pull up your biggest armchair, because the second half is going to be a cracker.
England 0.
I'm sure you're right, because although we've been saying how much the United States have improved as a football nation, one can only imagine how this would be perceived as a disgrace if England were to lose this match. The ball is played into Wright. It's far too premature to talk of defeat, of course. Batty in possession, gets it back, a lovely ball from Barnes, and Batty goes down, and the referee has waved play on. And I really thought England had a very strong claim for a penalty then.
Well, we'll have to wait and see the replay on that one, but it certainly looked like a penalty to me.
Well, we'll have another look at that in a moment. As half-time approaches, England a goal behind. The ball goes in towards Sharp. Neola confidently, cheekily plucks it off his head.
Yeah, there you see the 1-2. Batty goes through. Well, I don't know.
Well, the crucial thing is, was he deliberately trying to bring the player down, or was he genuinely going for the ball? I think most referees would have given a penalty there. Here's Wegley at the other end. For the United States, it's a great run by Wegley. But Pallister did really well just to shield him away from goal. Goal kick taken already. We're into stoppage time at the end of the first half. And amazingly here in Boston, the United States, a minnow really in international football terms, are leading England by a goal to 0. And this is the goal that did it. Ramos turning the ball back, and Dooley scores the most memorable goal of his life, his first ever for the United States, and it's set up a quite dramatic and very critical second half here for England in America. We'll be back. The half-time score, the United States 1, England 0.
And England's World Cup is over.
Welcome back. The half-time score, the one we all dreaded, really. USA 1, England 0. The views now of Ron Atkinson. Ron, he's never scored an international goal before, Tom Dooley. He picked a great night to do it, didn't he?
Very much so, and, you know, it was a super goal from the American point of view. Obviously, a bit of a nail in our coffin a little bit, but, Still 45 minutes. They penetrate up the left-hand side. It's a good deep cross. The crossing in the game's been excellent from both sides. Ramos there shows brilliant agility, turns it back with great awareness. And Dooley, to be fair, he's got down. He's, hang down your head, Tom Dooley, if you like, but he stuck his head in there and he's guided it to somewhere where Chris Woods has no chance.
He definitely owes a debt of thanks to Ramos, doesn't he?
Oh, this was good. I mean, it was a deep cross. Maybe Dorigo's been sucked in a little bit there. But I think at that stage, most people would have settled for that going out of play. But not only has he got to it, he's kept it in with precision. I mean, that's excellent play, that.
That made it 1-0. It could have been a lot worse about 10 minutes earlier, thanks only really to the bravery of Chris Woods.
Yeah, this is a lovely threaded ball here from Wegley. For me, he's been the best player on the field, I might add. But, I mean, here comes flying in Dooley. Give him the benefit of the doubt. I think if that had been for his life, he might just have gone through Woodsy on that.
But it hasn't been one-way traffic. Lee Sharp had a great run. Shame about the finish, really.
Yeah, I mean, he sort of stumbles his way through, nutmegs his way through, drives his way through. And just there, I don't know whether the boys were saying before the game the grass was a bit long. It gets stuck under his feet a little bit, and he really makes a very puerile effort, if you like. But full marks for it. His run was very positive.
Rodney Marsh called this England's best chance of the half.
Yeah, another deep cross, another good cross from Sharp. Just deflected by Armstrong, but there's Dixon. Should have scored. Should have been on target there.
And this, perhaps the most controversial incident of the half, was it a penalty?
Yeah, I mean, Batty drives a nice little 1-2 in off Barnsley. Miola goes out like a lunatic here, and I think he actually floors him. Batty doesn't help his own case there by doing a little bit of a Brian Phelps. But for me, that was a penalty, because I think the goalie acted very rashly there.
OK, Ron, much more from you later on. Time now for our competition, and it's a competition with a pretty decent prize. We're offering a VIP trip for two, courtesy of American Airlines, to see England's third US Cup game against Germany in Detroit on Saturday week. All we want to know is who scored England's first goal against West Germany in the 1966 World Cup final. If you know the answer, give us a call on 0891 33 5533. That's 0891 33 55 33. The lines will stay open until Friday evening, and we'll give the result during our coverage of the England-Brazil game, which you can see live and only on ITV this Sunday night. The programme starts at 6 p.m. Back to Wednesday night now, or Thursday morning, should I say. And after the break, it's the second half of the USA versus England. See you in a couple of moments. Welcome back. The rather depressing news from Boston is that it's the USA 1, England 0. Ron Atkinson, what can we do about that scoreline?
Well, I think the first thing we've got to do, we've got to try and nullify Roy Wegley. For me, he's the best player on the field. He's picking it up in deep positions and running with it and feeding the other strikers in. I think somebody like Paul Ince has got to be detailed and say, you've got to snuff him out first. Then we've got a base from where to play.
We can have a look at Doyle's goal again now. I mean, is there anything they could have done to prevent this? Where were they going wrong here?
Well, I mean, to be fair, some goals you have to give credit to the opposition, and in all fairness, I think you do here. I mean, we may have closed the cross down. Perhaps Dorigo may have got himself out of position on the far post. But all credit. I mean, Ramos has done something there that if it had been a top Brazilian player or so forth, we'd all have been sort of saying, well, that's a world great performing his skills. I mean, it was a great goal from America's point of view. And, we'd possibly been caught a little bit on the break, but full marks to them for that. That was a smashing goal.
But have England been that bad?
They've played OK. But, I mean, I still have to take into account the opposition. I mean, with all the will in the world, America, good athletes, good sort of motivation, good attitude, but not a great side. I mean, we've played nice, we've pushed it about a little bit. We haven't penetrated enough. We maybe haven't got enough people attacking, particularly the near post. We've put some good crosses in, and maybe we should have been attacking the near post a lot more with runners.
OK, Ron, we can now cross to the stadium, join Jim Rosenthal, who I understand is joined by David Platt.
David, what's been said down there in the England dressing room?
Well, I think really just to carry on the way that we're doing, but just try and create more chances, really. think, you know, the Americans have sat back off us. We've managed to get in a few times. Perhaps should have had a penalty at the death there. We'll have to see the replay on the television. You've got to give them full credit, because when the ball's been crossed to the far post, he's brought it down, well, knocked it back, and they're 1-0 up. But it's still 45 minutes, and the boys have still got enough confidence in themselves to go out there and win the game.
A vital 45 minutes for England and for Graham Taylor coming up.
It's a vital 45 minutes for everybody concerned, obviously. You know, but what we've got to make sure that we do is, like I said, we've just got to carry on, shore things up a little bit, make sure that we carry on winning the second balls and get behind them.
Were there complaints about one or possibly even two penalties?
Well, I only saw one. I think, you know, there's been a few decisions. Wes sat there right on the bench there, and you can see there's a couple of offside decisions that could have gone for us. From where I was sat, it looks as though it was a penalty on David Batty, but those things can either go for you or go against you. We've still got 45 minutes, and hopefully the referee will rectify a couple of things.
David, thanks very much indeed for your time. Let's get back to our commentary team, to Rodney Marsh and to Alan Parry.
Thank you, Jim. Perfect timing as the referee's whistle gets the second half underway. England in red shirts tonight, remember, now attacking the goal to our right. And if ever there was a critical 45 minutes in the history of English football, and in the 3 years of Graham Taylor's reign as England manager, this is it. We can't, of course, overstate it, because it is basically a friendly competition, this. And as such, it's not really going to make any difference to England's World Cup future if they lose this, but you can only begin to imagine the headlines if they do, as Dixon crosses a useful ball in, and it's a brilliant save by Miola to prevent what would have been an own goal equaliser there. He really did take off. That was superbly agile goalkeeping, and England so unlucky not to get back on level terms. Doyle very grateful to his goalkeeper for that magnificent save. Corner kick to England. It could so easily have been a goal. It could be yet, as Pallister gets up well. But in fact, the referee has whistled for another corner. Pallister himself didn't realise that, as though it might have gone off the defender, but England get the benefit of the doubt. Doyle, the player who's conceded the corner kick. Pallister has stayed forward. There's Wright on the near post. Pallister just ahead of him. And now he's peeled away towards the penalty spot. Miola again takes charge of the situation for the American team. And once again, he'll catch it, but didn't matter anyway. Wright was offside.
Well, a promising start for the second half. Dixon getting forward again, as Ron said. The crossing in the game has been excellent, and Dixon puts in a good cross to the near post. Doyle gets a touch on it, and Miola made a super save to keep it out.
But crucially, keep it out he did. And England still a goal behind here. 43 years ago, when the United States beat England in a World Cup match in Brazil, the result really sent shockwaves around the football world. The USA at that time were part-time players, and England, the kings of world football. The situation's changed quite significantly since then, but it would still be one of the great upsets if the USA were to win this. As Agus plays a good ball into the penalty area, Ronaldo with a little flick on, Garrigo got it away. Sharp. The ball to Clough, who disappeared a little bit in the latter stages of the first half after a promising opening. This is Batty. Garrigo gets it away, only as far as Sharp, and Garrigo invited to get forward again, and England get the throw. Certainly the two England fullbacks have played a key part tonight in an attacking sense. Ramos shows beautiful skill again. What a gifted little footballer he is. Layoff too by Ronaldo to Wegley, and the Americans playing with great confidence and no little style at the moment. Batty. Dixon. The England fans just in front of us here getting a bit frustrated with the way their side are playing at the moment. Agus for the Americans, who incidentally have been 6 months together as a squad, apart from, of course, their European-based players. They all came together in January in California and have been training and playing many internationals, 15 already this year, and only one win before tonight, and that was against Saudi Arabia. Parks loses possession for the United States.
As we said earlier, Alan, I think the American players are sick and tired of this American bashing, and America can't play, and it's a disgrace that the World Cup's in America. And I think they're doing tonight, and they're going out to play tonight to prove to the rest of the world that yes, they do deserve to host the World Cup, and they have played exceedingly well tonight.
As Clavijo plays a good ball in, Wegley takes it well on the chest. Great challenge, and Pallister's interception saves England another embarrassing moment. Wegley took it beautifully on the chest and was poised to wrap that ball in when Pallister came to England's rescue.
There you see again, Palmer and Pallister getting caught, nobody marking Wegley. And Ron Atkinson said at half-time he thought Wegley is playing great, and I agree with that. And he could have, if he'd have brought that down a little bit quicker, he could have scored there.
Really getting it well there, but Pallister once again make sure England survive, and they counter-attack themselves now. Got Dixon to the right, he got Wright ahead of him. Sharp, the player in possession, looks for Ian Wright. He tried to find him again, but Armstrong hooks it clear. Only as far as Instow. Good run here by the England captain, but the layoff wasn't so good. And then Dooley runs into trouble, and it breaks here to Clough. Chance for England. Brilliant goalkeeping, and Clough frustrated again.
Another example of giving the ball away in the last third of the field, Alan, and it breaks through for Clough, hits it on target, and Miola again makes an instinctive great save. He's already made 2 great saves in the second half.
Well, there's been a lot of debate about whether Miola should be in the United States goal. Let's hold on as the corner comes over. Quite well served in that particular position. And back home in England, I've no doubt there'll be a lot of supporters, particularly in the southeast of London, who would have said that Casey Keller was the best American goalkeeper. But Tony Miola has really proved his value to the side tonight. Played, of course, in the Football League for Brighton and Watford. His father was a professional in Italy in the 60s. And he really has produced 1 or 2 marvellous saves to keep America leading here. Sharp for England. Forward to Ian Wright. Can he get England out of this embarrassment? England have surely got to produce real pressure on this American goal. They've got to test how good these Americans are with their backs to the wall. And Winalda, the striker, is the man back then defending.
From the American point of view, Alan, they don't need to collapse back on their own goal, and they're starting to do that. They're starting to try and protect the 1-goal lead, and the last thing they need to do is collapse back on their own goal.
Corner floated in high and touched on to Wright. Oh, well, he had to obviously go for it first time, but in doing so, stabbed at it rather wildly.
This is a great chance. Flick on at the near post, comes through to the right. There comes a corner, comes in, it's flicked on. He stabs it with his left foot, and he will be very, very unhappy with that finish. He should have scored there.
Yes, Ian Wright knows it. Good header by Ronaldo. Arrigo gets it clear though. Barnes, Clough. Ian Wright's offside. It won't count. It didn't go in anyway. Came to England's rescue not so long back in Poland. Can he do so again here in Boston?
With about 35 minutes to go, Alan, I think that Graham Taylor's got to be thinking about making a substitution and putting on another forward player. With 35 minutes to go, this game is taking, as we talked about at half-time, this game has taken on all sorts of new importance, and I think for the last 35 minutes we've got to try and throw everything forward and get a result out of this game.
There's Batty for England. Still a goal behind against the United States. That's a glorious ball for Wright. And Barnes is across in the penalty area. And had he found him then, Barnes would have had an open goal. John Doyle made sure he didn't find him. Good defending. But England had the Americans stretched again. Corner kick. Sharp takes it, not a bad one. Cleared by Clavijo though. And then Pallister loses out to Wegerle. And indeed, the England man fouls. And that's a free kick. Pallister not very happy about it. Ronaldo moves forward. The USA this year have had 9 drawn internationals, 5 defeats, including 2-0, of course, in the opening match of this tournament against Brazil last Sunday. One sole defeat before tonight in their internationals in 1993, and that was against one of the weaker nations in the football world in Saudi Arabia. This match may not carry points, but it certainly carries prestige. It does carry points in this tournament, of course. But the real effect of possible defeat for England is, well, national disgrace. I don't think that's an overstatement. Here's Batty. Now Dixon. Palmer. Ince. Good ball to Barnes. Wright is just ahead of him. Armstrong made the interception. Ramos. That's a good ball, and Wegerle is in space again. What a great game he's having. On it goes to Ronaldo. Pallister has slipped. And the ball to the far post, a bit ambitious, but nonetheless it's had England once again backpedaling furiously. A terrific long early kick by Woods. Armstrong underneath it though. Clough. Dixon. This is Batty. Barnes. We really do need a bit of magic from John Barnes at the moment. From anybody. Ince. Dorigo. Good shot by Dorigo. Well, when it left his foot it was, but it certainly curved away, far from danger.
At the moment, Alan, England are throwing 4, 5, 6, 7 players forward at a time. And Graham Taylor must be thinking to himself, what do I have to do to put this right? I mean, he's going to be soul-searching right now. He's going to be thinking, what can I do to get a result out of this game?
The referee has furiously chased from one end of the field to the other to rather melodramatically show a yellow card to Tony Meola, presumably for what he deemed to be time wasting. Very theatrical from the Austrian referee. But the United States captain and goalkeeper is cautioned. Milutinovic, who is about to create history anyway by becoming the first coach ever to lead 3 different countries to World Cup finals, will be a very, very happy man. If his team here can hold on to their 1-goal lead, he will go down in American history for sure. As Ince strives forward for England, finding Batty. England have a free kick. Now then, is this the break? Is this the moment? John Barnes, certainly, amongst others, will fancy this as a position in which he can give some problems to Meola. It's a good position. Meola will be fully aware of the capabilities of the England players gathered around the ball. Clough is one of them. Dorigo can really hammer it. Barnes has walked away.
What's interesting is that against Holland, Barnes scored a wonderful goal, and he's not even going to take this free kick. I wonder why.
Yeah, I was thinking that. England not happy. The defenders have backed away. It looks like either Clough or Dorigo are going to take it. England have their own mini wall in front of the American wall. It's Clough who lifts it. Another brilliant save from Meola. It was a superbly taken free kick by Nigel Clough, and Meola is proving to be America's hero at the moment. The All-American boy.
It's a great free kick going right in the corner. What a tremendous save by Miola.
Another corner for England. There's still a goal behind, though. And Miola comes again to catch it and was given the benefit of the doubt there. And I think there was a lot of doubt. Free kick.
Well, if anybody is doubting Tony Miola at the moment, that Casey Keller's a better goalkeeper, just watch this. This is an exclamation point on his performance tonight. He's been absolutely superb, and giving Bora Martinovic, the coach, every confidence in him.
Well, I have to say that probably the two outstanding players on the field tonight are both American. Wegley at one end, Miola at the other. England have given it away again, and Wegley is fouled by Batten. Coming up to an hour of the game gone. And the United States, remarkably, are still beating England by 1-0. Wegley. Forward to Harks. The layoff is read by Sharp. Manchester United player finds Barnes. Wright making a good run forward, and he spots him and finds him well. Clough, the only England player getting forward into the box, and the cross blocked anyway, but England have a throw. Good play there by young Mike Lapper. And Des Walker coming on. I think that'll surprise a few people at the stage when England are looking to save this game. Not quite sure the thinking behind that, but anyway. Free kick has been given for that dangerous challenge by Wright. So Des Walker about to come on, Rodney Marsh, and what do you make of that?
It's completely bamboozled me. I don't know who he would come on for.
No, I haven't seen the number being held up yet.
I would think Graham Taylor would be looking to put a forward player on rather than a defender.
It may
maybe an injury or something.
It could be, or of course we could have.
Well, Palmer's coming off, so it must be an injury.
You would think so. Palmer goes off.
He doesn't look injured, though, does he?
No, I think we're all a bit mystified about that, but maybe it'll mean a little switch of position for someone. I don't know. It's the moment a straightforward swap for defender for defender.
Palmer.
So Des Walker, who's had an unhappy enough time, of course, of late, is on, and the Americans are about to
in the
make a
62nd minute, we have a United States.
is the player who's going to go off, and on in his place is Ernie Stewart, who played as a second-half substitute against Brazil.
He's a bright little player, Ernie Stewart. He's played in Holland. Quite mobile, quite quick, and as a bright little player, and I expect him to do quite well.
Plays for Willem II, the Dutch club. His mother's Dutch and his father American. His mother was a very successful sprinter, I gathered, in her earlier days, and he has acquired a lot of her pace. He's quick and dangerous. Another problem for England. So one pacey player comes on and is immediately counteracted by another. John Barnes has had one of those frustrating nights for England. 17 minutes gone in the second half here in Boston. England's opening game of this tournament, a friendly tournament, an opportunity for the United States to get their act together before staging the World Cup next year, but they could never have dreamed that getting their act together could mean victory over England. And
I wonder what's going through Graham Taylor's mind right now, Alan.
I do. I know what's going through the minds of the England fans all around us. They are calling for the head of Graham Taylor, and I think a lot of other people in the country will be if they can't get back into this game. It'll do. That's an excellent ball, and Pallister's there again with another superb interception. Had it not been for some of his tackles tonight, England would have been in even deeper trouble here. But now Torrijos has given it away to Clough. Dixon. Barnes. Good play by Dixon and an excellent run from Batty. Wright has peeled away, but the cross was blocked by Armstrong. England have the throw-in.
Palace has had a super second half, and on 2 or 3 occasions he's come to the rescue at the last minute. especially with Wegley had that chance. Having said that, I think it's very important now to push more players forward. It's getting to the stage of the game now, Alan, where it's do or die, and we have to just push more players forward. And why Walker would come on at this stage of the game, I'd like to find out afterwards, because I'm sure that a forward player would do much better than a Walker substitution.
Mistake there by Miola, kicking the ball straight to Ince, and now Ian Wright. And on it goes to Dorigo. It's Sharp, rather. Dorigo just behind him, but it didn't matter anyway because Clavijo won it. Well, it takes a lot in the United States to shove American football, baseball, basketball, even ice hockey off the sports page headlines. But I would guess, Rodney, that if Dooley's goal proves to be the winner in this match, this will make headlines even in the American press.
I think it will make headlines around the world.
Indeed.
When the Americans scored the goal, when Dooley scored, it was pandemonium in the stadium, and you know, I think the Americans are quite proud of the way they're playing tonight, and the fans are getting behind them, and it's going to be a very interesting last 25 minutes.
There's Stewart. Back forward to Stewart again. And he's in there battling to try and dispossess Pallister. Right, nice turn by him. Sharp free on the left. But again, England couldn't wriggle it through to their forward players. I gather the word from the England bench is that Palmer was suffering the effects of the stresses and strains of a long season, and that's why he was taken off, and still mystified after hearing that explanation. Forward by Ince. And the flag's gone up.
Well, the rules for this tournament are that you can use 3 substitutions, and I don't know why. There's no reason why you couldn't put a forward player on.
Yes, that's a good point. 3 outfield substitutions allowed. England have made 2 so far. And again, going through a difficult little period here for England. They've got plenty of possession, but they're not really creating opportunities, and now they've got to defend. Wegley. Agus. Dooley coming forward again. And a good ball for Stewart, who's just held off there by Walker. Armstrong's clearance keeps the Americans in it at the other end. Stoppage here. The United States have a player lying injured. Dooley, I think the goal scorer. Yes, it is. See how he got it. Tom Dooley plays for Kaiserslautern in the German league. Has scored what could be one of the most famous goals the United States have ever managed in an international match. And got caught there as he was playing the ball away. And the signals to the American bench would appear to indicate that Dooley might not be able to continue here. Born in Germany. And Graham Taylor and Phil Neal look 2 very anxious men at the moment. The England management team. And there's the face of a tormented man.
I'm sure, Alan, that Ron Atkinson's back in the studio, and I'm sure that he's got a lot to say after this game, because, quite frankly, as you see Graham Taylor discussing whether or not to put another substitution on, I would think that England have to find a way to put somebody else up front.
Dooley going off, and the man who will take his place outside Lelas. You might guess from his appearance that he's not just a footballer, he plays the guitar and sings in a rock group in New York.
His nickname is the Wild Man.
Here's Batty. And Yola hesitated for a moment there. He thought Clavijo was going to clear the ball, but he realised the danger quickly enough. Here's Wegley. Oh, it's glorious play and a very good tackle as well by the outstanding Pallister. Without him, England would have been in deeper trouble tonight. And the right went in dangerously then on the goalkeeper. He's been surrounded by the American players. They're very angry about that challenge, and Barnes has gone in to try and protect him and sort it out. I think Miola's making the most of this, but I also think it was a rash challenge there by Ian Wright. I think it was always the goalkeeper's ball, and I don't think he had any right to do that, if you pardon the pun.
I think, as we spoke about earlier, Alan, that's the Dr. Jekyll side of Mr. Wright. Very rash challenge. Obviously trying to make something out of nothing. And as the ball comes through, he goes after it, and just he's way too late. Just about clips Miola's toes, who made a big job of it. But it was a rash challenge.
Well, Ron Atkinson watching back in the studio. Ron, we've got about 20 minutes, a shade longer to go here. What do you think?
Yeah, well, we've certainly in the last 10 minutes or so, we've lost any sort of cutting edge we had straight after half-time. And I would agree, I think Graham should now be looking to throw on another front player. Probably pull a midfield player off and balance it off a little bit better. I do feel we have a weakness down the right-hand side, you know. We're asking Dixon. Here at the moment, Sheringham looks as if he's going to come on now, Alan. But we're asking Dixon to make all the runs up the right-hand side of our team. I'd like to see a midfield player doing a lot more of that.
Thanks, Ron. 20 minutes to go here. I noticed Teddy Sheringham getting ready to come on for England. And now they need one of his goals at the moment. And the pressure again here from Stewart. He breaks clear. It's a brilliant tackle. An absolute lifesaver. And Stewart then, for a moment, must have saw the pages of history opening up for him.
This is a last-ditch tackle that really is going to save a lot of embarrassment on the England bench. It's a brilliantly timed tackle. Not to give away a penalty as well, because it could have been a penalty kick.
It really was a lifesaver, that. Stewart had his finger on the trigger. This Woods comes through, and it's a goal! And the substitute has scored, and the United States have gone absolutely crazy here, and I'm sure the whole nation will as well. Woods is beaten. Leilas, the substitute, has made it United States 2, England 0. The tormented figure of Graham Taylor knows now that the talk in the papers tomorrow will be, how long can he stay in the job?
Well, we talked in the first half about the way the Americans pile in on set ball situations. This is a brilliant corner, right in the deadly area of the box. Chris Woods goes up, but the boy out-jumps him and scores a magnificent header. And Graham Taylor may be looking at his epitaph.
Well, I said before the game that the obituaries have been written a trifle prematurely. You can imagine the vitriol that will be poured on England and Graham Taylor now if England lose this game, as now it has to be said seems likely at least. 18 minutes to go. The United States of America are leading England by 2 goals to 0. The pressure on Graham Taylor must be almost unbearable. The pressure on the FA to do something about this situation certainly will grow stronger and stronger now as a result of what looks like one of the most infamous defeats in England's history on the cards. This is Stewart for the United States. They lead 2-0, good effort, but into the chest of Chris Woods. And it's America with the ideas. It's America with the good football. It's America looking the most dangerous now. And a man who's not even a full-time footballer has perhaps slammed the door shut on England and the avoidance of what will be seen as a disgraceful defeat here.
I think it's fair to say, Alan, that this 2-0 lead is completely deserved. This has not been a fortunate American performance. They've really, honestly, outplayed England. And at the moment, you look at the English players, and they're bending over, they're holding their knees. Graham Taylor's trying to encourage them, but this really looks like a beaten England team to me.
Well, the players and the manager in particular was slaughtered after the defeat in Norway. And I just shudder to think what the newspapers will have to say about this, what the public will have to say about this. Two members of the public who won the ITV competition to be over here, John Hannon and his son David from Mottingham, must have been thinking they were coming to see England start on the road to recovery. Far from it, I'm afraid. Well, we said beforehand that in just the space of a week, this game, far from being a fact-finding friendly, was turning into a critical fixture for England. It's ever more critical now. They've only got a quarter of an hour for England to spring some kind of miracle and get back into this game, in which they trail the United States by 2 goals to 0. And they really look shorn of ideas. They look shorn of any kind of spring.
Excuse me, Alan. And the question would have to be asked, if America can score against England as easily as they appear to have, what's going to happen when they play West Germany and Brazil?
Well, we thought that Sheringham was going to come on a moment ago. He's gone back to his seat on the bench. What would you do at the moment, Rodney Marsh? What players would you bring on, or which player?
Well, the first thing I think I'd do is take a cyanide pill. This really is desperate stakes for England right now. Running out of ideas.
Offside, that.
Really have nobody that's creating much at all. And as Ron said earlier, what we need is somebody to be in there to play little dinky balls in and trying to create something out of nothing, and we just don't have it. And in fact, the Americans do.
And there it was underlined with Leilas's goal, which has given us this incredible scoreline with a quarter of an hour to go in Boston. United States 2, England 0, right in possession. And then the ball swung in by Ince. Miola slightly misjudged that, and it certainly took a strange bounce. And England have a corner. Now they need a goal.
He's done brilliantly, Doyle, as well, Alan. He's had some mark right in the second half. He's done a super job, and one of the strong players for America.
Not a bad corner. Ince touches it on, but he's touched it on too far. And the United States have a throw-in. Well, America have made progress as a football nation, but you have to say there is still no excuse for defeat here for England. Graham Taylor knows that. The fans in front of me know it. What a load of rubbish is their verdict on England's performance and impending defeat. You can make all the excuses you like, but at the end of it all, a minor football nation look as though they're about to beat England. They've only done it once before in their history, and it caused a page to be written in the history books of the game then in 1950. It'll be another black-edged page after this night in Boston. And ironically, here we are in the state of New England. It's been a case of some old English problems, I'm afraid, tonight. Dixon in possession. He's been one of the successes for England, and that's a great ball too. And Clough and Wright are forward. Wright takes charge and pulls it back for Clough. And England, it seems, can't even make anything of a really dangerous situation like that.
Dixon's had a great game as well. He's been one of the England bright spots. It's a tremendous diagonal ball, and Wright should have done better than that.
The clock ticks on. Rigo in possession, lifts it in high, and that will be seen as a typical English reaction to a flawed situation as he just really hit it and hoped. Miola was fouled as well by Barnes. Frustration all over the stadium for England. One can only begin to imagine the headlines around the world, never mind back home in England.
Well, that caught you by surprise. If it caught you by surprise, guess how it caught Ron and I. Ron, it might have been the best result, losing the pictures, after what's gone on there tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the best, is it? I mean, 10 minutes into the second half, yeah, I thought any minute now England were going to score. All of a sudden, we lost our momentum, lost our tempo. And, you know, full credit to the Americans. They've played particularly well. I mean, the daft thing is, I mean, I've seen the goalkeeper. I've worked with the goalkeeper, Tony Miola. And quite honestly, I'd go along with something you said to me before about Casey Keller. I mean, I think Casey Keller's a far better keeper. And yet this lad's come in tonight. He's had an absolute blinding 10 or 15 minutes, and he's put England right on the rack.
Yeah, I mean, Doyle's picked a great night to score his first international goal. The keeper's picked a great night to prove you wrong. And
then the Wildman comes in a sub and nods a perfect... What a magnificent header that was.
There is the wild man.
I mean, he's come from out the clouds here, hasn't he? I mean, that is a phenomenal leap. OK, you can say maybe Chris Woods has got in no man's land, maybe somebody picked him up, but he's got some leverage there to head that one in.
And what's more, Laylas, his name actually, not just his nickname, had a free run at that.
Yeah, I mean, that shows, like, maybe the disarray that's starting to come into the England side. We just made a substitution in defence. Woodsy had just come... Walker had just come on for Palmer. They may have lost the markings there. But, I mean, I wouldn't take anything away from that big fellow. That's a magnificent header.
Ron, we're trying to get the pictures back, but in the meantime, we'll go to them, obviously, as soon as we get them. Alan Parry was saying earlier on, this puts the pressure right back on Graham Taylor's shoulders.
Well, unfortunately, it does. I mean, I think I would have to say, I think the media attention on Graham over the last week has been absolutely scandalous. I mean, if the fella's had a bad time, yet say it. But some of the reports have been diabolical. I mean, that's unfair. Because if you look through that side, you see people like Lee Sharp, you see Paul Ince, you see good players. Nigel Clough. Everybody wanted Nigel Clough in the team. All the press wanted him in. And to be fair, they, as a team, they just haven't played. You know, they really... You can't imagine it's the same people you see week in and week out in the Premier League. I mean, I'm looking at some of those lads there. I mean, Ian Wright, Rodney Marsh said, you know, probably the best striker in club football. And yet he's had 3 situations there since he's come on that if he was in an Arsenal shirt, be it he could be playing against anybody, he would have cracked them. He would have finished them. And he's looked tentative and hesitant and he hasn't stuck them away. I mean, if you're the manager, you can't really explain that away. You know, that's hard to take.
Well, the good news, if there is any good news on a night like tonight, is that they haven't scored again yet. We can't get the pictures back. As I say, it may be a blessing in disguise. But to put your head on the block, I mean, if I'm not saying it, the boys in the press will be saying it tomorrow. Ron Atkinson for England manager. Would you fancy it, were it possible?
No, I mean, I've gone on record as saying I prefer club management. I like club management. Obviously, when people want help, you'd help people. But certainly that job as a job doesn't really appeal to me. And I would think if you ask Graham now, if he'd have made the same decision, I just wonder whether he'd have preferred to have stayed in club management. I mean, they get persecuted. I mean, and unfairly persecuted.
Well, I was going to say, rightly persecuted or not?
No, I think very unfairly persecuted. I mean, it's now on a par with the English cricket captain, isn't it? I mean, that was the old stumbling block. That was the one they used to have a little nobble at when anything went wrong. Now it seems it's the England that... Well, the Prime Minister as well. He sometimes comes into play with it, but by and large, it's the England team manager that takes the flak. And I don't think... Yeah, if he's wrong, if he picks a team wrong tactically, if he prepares it wrong, then he's entitled to criticism. We all are. But I think the stuff that's gone on is absolutely scandalous.
Well, let's try and put it in perspective, because the last time the Americans beat us, and let's face it, they're going to do it tonight, aren't they, unless something miraculous happens. The last time they beat us was 5 years after the war. Yeah. No one in the press, or there wasn't television then, but no one in the press called that a disaster, because after all, those journalists 5 years before had been fighting a war.
Well, that's right. I mean, but it was also... I mean, England were probably a better team then than they are now, in comparison. And certainly the Americans were nowhere near as good then. I mean...
OK, Ron, as you can see quite plainly, we're back with the pictures. Let's rejoin your commentators, Rodney Marsh and Alan Parry.
Welcome back to Boston. I gather it was bad weather conditions in the United States that caused you to lose our pictures. No change in the scoreline here. The United States still leading England by 2-0 with 8 minutes remaining. Adverse weather in Washington. Others lose the pictures. Adverse conditions all over the pitch here have made England lose their pride and lose any shape in this performance. And one of the great disasters for English football is on the make here. And a brilliant save by Miola denies us even the consolation of a goal from Ian Wright. This man has been a hero for America tonight.
No doubt about it. He's been absolutely magnificent in the second half. Wright turns, gets a great shot off. And it's one of the few times that Wright's been in a position to do something. And Miola made a brilliant, brilliant save.
Well, they played like men inspired, these American players tonight. They really have. England, I'm afraid, have performed well below average again, well below what we would expect of a team with World Cup hopes and ambitions. And suddenly, those games against Poland, Holland away in particular, and I wouldn't go so far as to suggest even San Marino, but anyway, all our 3 remaining qualifying matches take on a different hue after this performance and this result. What does Graham Taylor do next? How many more new faces can you bring in? How more often can you change the tactics? How much more can you change the personnel? Where do England go from here? Those and a dozen more questions will be asked, I'm sure, many times in the ensuing months. England could get a goal back here with Wright, though. Viola's done it again. I don't think this guy's going to be beaten tonight. I really don't. If one of the best strikers in English football can't beat him, what hope is there for Graham Taylor in England? What a performance by Miola, Rodney.
If Casey Keller's the number 1, then Miola must be something, because he's been absolutely magnificent tonight and has really, in the second half, been the difference.
6 minutes to go. England might have had a hope then with that goal, but it was not to be. Barnes. Well, I wonder if we're seeing the end of his international career as well. After 72 caps, John Barnes has not performed well tonight, and maybe people will feel he's had one second chance too many after this. And there is the scoreline that will make headline news all around the world tomorrow. USA 2, England 0.
I don't think there's one person in this stadium, press, fans, media or players, that wouldn't vote for Tony Miola as the outstanding player of this game.
And certainly there's no England player who's a candidate. It's been another tired, lacklustre performance by England. And one thing you have to say, we are playing fatigue because of the long, hard season. But look at the performance of Roy Wegley, who's played throughout in the Premier League.
And John Hart.
And John Hart, yes. Here's Dorigo for England. But really, you have to say, whatever England can produce now, unless it's 3 goals in 4 minutes, it's all over. I think we've seen the end of a particular era for some England players. And who knows, maybe the England manager. We're not out of the World Cup yet, but this performance will do absolutely nothing other than damage our morale and our reputation further still. There's not even a successful professional football league in this country, remember. They haven't even managed to establish that for all the years they've been trying. And yet, the best players, the best 11 or 13 they could gather together on the day have been better than England's best. It's a massive country of 250 million people, but it is not a football nation. And only once this year have they beaten another football country, and that was Saudi Arabia. All the other matches have ended in either draws or defeats. Before tonight, before England went to the chopping block, before the United States wrote arguably the greatest page in their football history.
I think it's fair to say that since America was awarded the World Cup in 1988, America has to suffer being maligned for not being a football country, not being a football nation, not having the ability to put on a world-class tournament. I wonder what all those people back in England are thinking now.
Wegley for the United States. They're 3 minutes away from history. They will go down in the annals along with those heroes of Belo Horizonte in 1950, who beat an England team containing some of our great players of that era. Mannion.
A reminder, ladies and gentlemen.
Many others. This England team, obviously, not a shadow on the side that took football to the rest of the world and dominated the rest of the world, but perhaps we've seen the final decline of England as a top footballing nation here tonight. Is that an overstatement, Rodney?
Well, I think that Billy Wright, who was the captain of that team back in 1950, has been maligned for the last 40-odd years. I think Billy Wright now, once and for all, will be able to put that to rest, because this new team here has taken that away from Billy Wright. This is a very, very, very poor England team.
Well, they're hesitating there as Pallister got up to win the corner well, but it mattered not. The ball, as it has done all night, seemed, well, magnetically attracted to his hands. He really has had an outstanding game. The Americans look tired now. They had to face Brazil on Sunday, but my word, they will not feel tired when the final whistle goes, because they know that they will be heroes across this huge nation tomorrow. And they've still got to play the world champions, Germany, of course. England have still got to face them, and Brazil. It's a simple question, I know, but if we couldn't beat the United States, how on earth can we beat Brazil or Germany? Here's Clough. Now Dixon. Clough gets it back again, and a good ball back to Dixon. Here's Armstrong. We're into the last minute of a match that will always be remembered by those watching it at home, and certainly those of us here in the Foxborough Stadium tonight. Dorigo finds Sharp. England going through the motions for one last time, perhaps. Ince, their captain. What a sad night to begin your captaincy of your country. These England players might have to live with this result for a long time to come, as Chris Woods comes out and takes the ball from Stewart's feet.
I think this game will go down in history as being the day that Graham Taylor and the England team just ran out of ideas.
We're into stoppage time. The attendance of 37,500 here tonight have perhaps all witnessed a little bit of history. Well, not perhaps. There's no perhaps about it. And England, sadly, demoralised, dejected, and how ironic that a man who plays in our midst now, John Harkes, has given the England manager and the whole camp a nightmare night in Boston.
And Harkes and his teammates have been absolutely superb. John Harkes can be very proud of this performance.
The celebrations will go on long into the night here in Boston, I'm sure.
And in Sheffield as well,
will lead them as he whips the free kick in, and Pallister is forced to concede one last corner. And back home, the newspapers will be sharpening their pencils and sharpening the knives for this man. It's all over. We have seen a sad, sad night in English football history. And Graham Taylor knows that he will be going, not exactly like a lamb, but certainly to the slaughter of the English media and the English public after this defeat. The match has ended with an historic scoreline. The United States of America 2, England 0. We hope to speak to Graham Taylor, and we'll also have the views of Ron Atkinson right after this break.
USA 2, England 0. The satellite has gone down again, probably to save Graham Taylor's blushes, but if we do get it back, we'll be straight across to him and Jim Rosenthal. In the meantime, the views of Ron Atkinson. Not a very good night, Ron.
No, the daft thing was, I actually enjoyed the game as a game better than I did the Norway game. I thought more happened for both sides. But as you say, the result against, after all, a so-called third-rate international level, and in all fairness to the Americans, that's what they really are. They're not a top international side by a street. And so I suppose on that line, then it is a humiliation.
Well, let's have a look at the final nail in that coffin, the final humiliation. Leilas the Wild Man with a free run at this header.
Yeah, I mean, just prior to this, Dorigo had made a tackle to give the corner away that when Stewart nearly scored. So, you know, they would consider that was justice. I mean, that's a good ball in. England flat-footed, goalkeeper maybe in no man's land. Defender's not really doing too much, but all credit to Leilas. That is a classic header.
That was classic. But on the positive side, Ian Wright, I mean, if he was in an Arsenal shirt, he could have buried 6 today.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was a shootout at one stage between Ian Wright and Tony Meola. He's rolled the defender here. You'd have put an absolute fortune on him here, and yet there's Meola coming out, standing big and blocking it away. I mean, to be fair, in that respect, Ian Wright must just say it was one of those nights. Cloughie's played him a brilliant through ball here, and I felt there he got hesitant. For Arsenal, he would have gone, he'd have smashed that. He would not have given Meola time to get really close. He'd have smashed that he'd have been roofing that before the keeper had started to come forward. But once again, it's, you know, he's only scored 1 goal at international level. The team's having an iffy spell. He's become hesitant there.
Well, look, there's the picture of the man who's going to be, well, pictures all over the press tomorrow, that's for sure, Graham Taylor.
Airlines fan of the game is John Kanya. John and a guest.
What's going through his mind, Ron?
I bet he wants to be out of there. I mean, they're presenting things in the American way, like to the fan of the match or something like that. And all he wants to do is really get back into the sanctity of his own dressing room and, you know, maybe lay into a few. But I don't think he can do much laying into them.
Well, look, some desperate faces there. None of them want to be on the pitch. Where does English football go from here? Simple question, that one, Ron.
Well, I know where it should be going. It should be going to beaches in Marbella, Mallorca and that, and resting. It really should. But, I mean, we've got 2 commitment games to play, you know, Germany and Brazil. Everybody now thinks that we're looking down the barrel and probably get slaughtered by those 2. You know, the game's so daft that it wouldn't surprise me to see us get good results in there. What I would like to see us do, I mean, any good side, any smashing side you've ever seen, including our World Cup side in '66, was actually built on good foundations at the back. Now, I think we're giving too many goals away. We don't play, or we've tried it with a sweeper system, but that doesn't suit us. I think we've got to get back to a basic back 4, ask defenders to defend first. And I think, you know, if we can build from that, that gives us a first chance. But we've got to have some base to go from.
Well, let's hope we do get one. Ron, thanks very much. I know we did promise you a rugby preview, but tonight's events have really taken precedence. But let me give you full details of our exclusive Lions coverage. The Lions play their first test match against the All Blacks this Saturday. You can see it live on this channel, although the kick-off time might bring out the best in you. It all starts at 3:15 in the morning. Now, if you don't fancy that, avoid the radio and the teletext and watch it all as live at 9:30 on Saturday morning, when we rerun the whole game. Well, that's just about it for now, other than to mark your card about some great football coming your way. And we're next in the US Cup over the next few days. Germany versus Brazil, the world champions, of course. That happens at 12:40 tomorrow. And then on Saturday, it's the turn of the schoolboys, live from Wembley, the game between England and Germany. Our coverage starts at 2:30. And then on Sunday night, we're live from Washington, D.C., where England take on the boys from Brazil. That one starts at 6 o'clock, but for now, on a night when England, quite frankly, have embarrassed themselves, from Ron Atkinson and all of us here, it's a very good night. Ron, we're going out to America. Let's hope it's a good one, for goodness sake.
Yeah, let's hope the weather's better than it was tonight anyway.
Look on the bright side, Ron.
International football on West Country. England are under pressure to reproduce the skills and quality of leadership that could put them back amongst the world's best. Now they face the boys from Brazil, admired throughout the world as football's greatest entertainers. See England versus Brazil in the US Cup '93 soccer tournament.
Real Madrid, playing in blue, knew the dangers from last year and quickly discovered the threat was just as great this. Tenerife needed just 12 minutes to begin an evening of misery with this well-taken goal by Oscar de Chia. Good commitment in the box and a fine header from the Argentinian. Real, who'd thrown away a 2-goal lead here last season, nearly went 2 down themselves shortly afterwards. The defence was caught square and Paki so nearly made them pay. As the half wore on though, Real began to take control. A lovely run by Ivan Zamorano and a finish so tantalisingly close. And Zamorano had claims for 2 penalties soon afterwards. Again, it was another strong run there by the Chilean as goalkeeper Agustin comes out to challenge. Another look suggests he had strong penalty claims there. But that was waved away, as was this challenge. The keeper this time appearing to get a hand to the ball. Just 2 minutes before half-time, the Canaries side effectively decided Real's fate with another well-worked goal, this time from Sebastian Chano. A delightful cross from the left, and no one saw Chano make his move to direct a powerful header into the net. In the second half, Tenerife might have added to their lead, Cesar Gomez just clipping the bar. So despair for the Real Madrid fans, but joy for Tenerife and a marvellous sense of déjà vu in deciding the fate of the championship. At the Nou Camp, Barcelona knew they had to beat John Toshak's Real Sociedad to have a chance of the title. And they certainly began impressively. A fine run here by Stoichkov, but a rather tame finish. But Real Sociedad were there to make a game of it, and Kodo came close to giving them the lead. They might have managed it again from a corner, but Oceano sent his shot over the bar. Barcelona's goal to clinch the title was a triumph of neat, skillful one-touch football, rounded off with a deadly finish.